People ready to get down to agenda items, so we'll keep the momentum going. Let me share my screen. All right. So do a quick attendance. Daniel Johnson, present. Colin Gillespie.
Yes, present.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Denise Gutierrez.
Present.
Awesome. Dan Firestone is tax season. Ken Livingston.
Here.
Just one Ken. Perfect.
Yes. I thought we needed a quorum, so I was trying to duplicate myself.
Paul Hogan.
Here.
Jill Morawski.
Here.
And Ryan Nobrega. Not yet. And Sandy Fry.
Here.
Great. So we have a quorum. And let me just see if Ryan possibly joined. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Because I've been asking because when I watched the YouTube video back, the way they record it is just the video of me. You don't really see the screen, so I just want to make sure everyone who's at the meeting can see my screen. All right. So next on the agenda, we're going to take a look at the previous minutes. Does anyone have any questions or comments on the minutes as they're written?
I would just make it a larger image in case anybody wants to look at it while you're showing it. But other than that, no.
Okay. I'm going to do a roll call to approve the minutes as they stand, to adopt the February 8th, 2021 meeting minutes. Just say,
Daniel, do you want a motion and a second before we vote on it? Should we do that? I don't know if we need to.
I don't remember if we need to. I feel like this is always the part I get tripped up. Do we need to do a motion and a second, or?
I think it's possible with the minutes to say, seeing no comments, the minutes are accepted as, are approved as presented. And you don't have to go through the roll call at all. But if you want to do a roll call, I think you need a motion and a second.
Okay. So is everyone in acceptance of the meetings as they're written? If no, please speak up. All right, so the minutes are approved as they're written, and we'll get these to the town so they can update with the approved minutes. So thank you, everyone. So let's move to the survey. I want to get off and running with some exciting things. So congratulations to Ken, Colin, and Jill and Todd Dumay on the town. I think Dwayne, you had a role as well for getting the survey out of the commission as a whole. But the survey was launched on February 25th, 2021. We do have some interesting stats on it, so we're not going to go too deep into it, but I thought it'd be interesting to share with the group just to show the progress so far. And again, it's February 25th. We have, at least on question 1, and I'm not going to go through each item because it's still. Yep.
Daniel, just to clarify, these are live results, so this is as of this moment.
Right. Yep. Okay. Thank you, Ken. Ken, do you want to talk about it a little bit since you're here?
No, go for it. Yeah. I go start. I can jump in because I don't know what you want to exactly cover, so I don't want to.
I was going to talk about how great these colors are on the screen, and then point out that so far since the 25th of February, we've had 793 people answer question 1. I haven't gone through every other question in the survey, but assume the same amount of people answered the other questions. The survey ends March 31st. And if you need to get to the survey, if you have people interested, you can go to the West Hartford Pedestrian and Bicycle Commission webpage, and you're able to access that right on the commission page. I'm just going to show you really quick. So on the town website for Pedestrian and Bicycle Commission, just a short way down the page, we have the Pedestrian and Bicycle Survey, and you can get the link right here. If you have people that you want to take the survey, right-click it and copy the link and send it to them. Please, share on social media if you feel is interested. This is a really great opportunity for us to get feedback from residents. Some of the questions, and I'll run through them again. How often do you bicycle? What is your primary purpose? We did have a question related to someone who doesn't bicycle through town. A few people said, hey, I don't bike in town at all. I want to just get to pedestrian specific things. So here we have this kind of manual question, but if they select other, I do not bike through town, they're able to move to the next page. And you can see we really captured some of the things that have been done by the commission in the past. So under the chair of Sandy Fry and Scott Franklin, we have the blue route, the orange route, and the green route. We want to see how people ride these routes, or if they know where these are, just to see if some of our efforts have really paid off and if people are using them. We have a question related to the COVID-19, and it takes about, I would say, less than 5 minutes to complete. And Ken, have you had a chance to look at this? What's some early reads for you?
If you why don't you go back to I can say go back to that page.
Yeah, why don't you walk through the questions just lightly? It'd be fun to see.
The
answers.
So again, this is a live in progress survey. So don't burn them on top of your desk just yet. But if we get more response, we'll get more answers and more feedback.
Yeah, so variety of respondents from active cyclists. Actually a pretty even range, which is nice because it flavors a bunch of the questions. So even there, primary reason is that recreation and enjoyment and exercise, sort of one and the same. But it's interesting to see sometimes people just exercising whether they do it for enjoyment or not. Demands more were greatest ones paved bike lanes and marked bike lanes, and then more attentive I guess I'm not sure cruise color, more attentive motorist, but the first ones are higher demand for paved bike lanes and marked bike lanes, so, or bike paths. So this I think was an interesting one. Just under 50% say unsafe, but a strong amount actually say the roads are safe. It's about 40, just under 40 and just under 50, which I found interesting.
That actually, if half of your community doesn't believe it's safe to ride a bike, if you just say it that way, half of the community does not find it safe to ride a bicycle on our street. That's pretty significant to me.
For primary reason, does not bike to school, concerned about their safety, and we had stranger danger. That's the green, which was a fairly high number. They do, and then next one up was they do bike or walk. So found that interesting. How many percent say 27% say they bike or walk, and I assume that's more of the walking than the biking percentages. I almost felt we should have, going in hindsight, should have asked how many of you bike and then how many you walk, and break that out into two different categories, because I think the bicycling is much lower than the walking, at least my perception.
Yep.
So.
I mean, one part of the survey it doesn't cover is that it tells us how to ask the survey better next time, or maybe more frequently than we've done in the past.
So I found this one interesting, Dwayne. I'm sure you it's interesting. Does West Hartford do enough to improve conditions? And almost about what 67%, over 67% said no, they do not do enough. So it's kind of a compelling from a political side of things, and our commission and council to see that response. I think
Yeah.
the desire for more.
Yeah.
Have not ridden any routes, and combine the have not ridden any routes and the I did not know there were routes, and you're at almost 60% of the respondents had not ridden or did not know. So that's something, opportunities for greater awareness or figuring out, maybe further up of why people are not riding that are responding to the survey. So, and I think we could cross tabulate this as I do it later with the people that are, active cyclists, how many have biked and how many have not. So that's one almost begs to be drilled down a little bit more. Yeah, 40% of people increased their bicycling during COVID. So that's what we've seen overall. This one's got a little bit rate your perception of safety, and it kind of takes some time to kind of go through that one, but
Yeah.
blue is unsafe and such. So there's How comfortable are you walking? Significantly more people comfortable, almost 80 at a rating of about 80 of how comfortable they feel on their streets walking. So
Yeah, it's on a scale of 1 to 100. So 100 is extremely comfortable. 0 is I'm not going to step my foot out the door.
top 3 concerns: motorists not attentive and vehicles drive too fast. So we've kind of heard that all along, and know there's the concern of motorists throughout the town of being aware of people. This is specifically walking here, but.
And Ken, I'm just noticing here this skipped, right? Can you talk to me about that?
It's just 16 people didn't answer the question.
Okay. So it's looking at all, just so I understand how the survey works, taking everybody that jumps here, and then it's saying 16 people submitted the survey but didn't answer this question.
Correct. Yep. 779 answered it. What are your reasons for walking? General health and exercise. And that's the highest ranking one by far.
Yep.
So there are a bunch of there are some comments. 345 people actually took the time to add additional comments. So
That's significant. That's almost a 50% rate.
Yep, we'll spend some time looking at those. Yeah.
I wonder if Dan Firestone's here. I don't want to share anybody's private data on that one. So we get into a little bit more of the person filling out the application.
A good range of age distribution across, as sort of expected. Not a lot of youth at all, and not under the 20 to 30 crowd, which I found was interesting, did not respond. And maybe there's different ways of reaching out to that cohort. And I think that's one thing we can talk about in the end is reaching out and promoting the survey a bit more.
Yep. And so if you're a caller on the line, we do have the survey. You can find the West Hartford Pedestrian and Bicycle Commission town website. 3/4 ways down the page, there's a link to survey. So if you have someone or know of a social group that would be interested in providing feedback on our town, please grab that link and share it. And then we get into gender identification. And, if you work, please select the town or city where you work.
On the gender ID, just since we spent so much time on it, is there a skipped portion on it just to see, if it was received or?
So 679 answered and 116 skipped.
Okay, so it's not it's not like half skipped or anything else like that. There's no area for comments around that, no.
There might be, so that's why I'm not flipping through. I can't remember. I just want to, kind of protect everyone's interest. But we'll definitely share everything once.
You're saying that in case someone puts their own name or someone else's name in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. this is a public meeting.
That's
I want to
fair.
make sure people that fill out the survey are comfortable doing that. So we'll wait till it closes and see how to we'll present all the data, but want to make sure anybody personal
Thank
information
you.
is pulled out.
So that's the initial sort of easily auto-generated results and charts.
Great. Thank you. Ken, I know you, Colin, Jill were really involved in creating that survey. So thank you guys so much. That's going to be a great feedback going forward, and already starting to see just some numbers that I didn't expect, and a lot of participation from people. So that's extremely interesting.
Well, I think we have an opportunity to significantly increase. I think actually I was surprised those numbers were lower for total participation than our prior survey. And I'm not sure if Scott Franklin, or I guess not you, Scott, for the West Hartford Bike West Hartford group, if they blasted it out, or and there are other opportunities for us to further redistribute this survey. I don't know if it made it to friends and neighbors of West Hartford Facebook group or others. And I'm not a member of that, but I know there are maybe people on this group that are a member to maybe repost it in various locations.
Yep. Thanks, Ken. Awesome. That big highlight for the night. So we have Dwayne Martin on the line. Welcome, Dwayne. I'll turn it over to you. Some updates on roadway projects. I have the agenda set up for you. Part 1 for you, Dwayne, is roadway projects. Part 2 is paving. If you could talk a little about the South Road. I know there's an email that went out to residents about head and angle parking. I can't get that one right. And then, Beth's also on the call, so we have some feedback for the consultants as it comes to North Main Street. So we'll hit that. If you could spend more time on that, probably, but let's definitely cover projects, paving, and LaSalle.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. Dwayne Martin, West Hartford Town Engineer. So Daniel and I have been keeping in touch, and I've been giving him updates on some of the engineering projects. So I just want to go down the list. I'll jump into the upcoming construction season, some of the road jobs that we have planned, and I'll talk about LaSalle Road, as you said, and then North Main Street Road diet. So, and just stop me if you have any questions. I'll go through this quickly, though. North Main Street Bridge, which of course is tied into the road diet. I don't have an updated schedule from the contractor just yet. I should be getting one soon. They went into a winter shutdown, but the last time we communicated, which was a few weeks ago, they indicated that the bridge project should be done by the end of June of this year, 2021. And of course, the road diet, we're working on getting that started as soon as possible after the bridge project is done. Fern Street Bridge, which I know is of interest to some. This is the bridge that's next to Fern Ridge Park. It's planned for replacement. It is in final design right now. We're in the permitting phase still with the state and federal agencies that we need to get permits from. I know this is an interest to some because there's concern it may actually impact the road diet trial. I don't think that's going to be the case. The state and federal permit process has slowed down quite a bit since the pandemic. So I think we are still months away from starting that construction project. Complete Streets annual report for 2020 was sent to Daniel. I don't know, Daniel, if you had an opportunity to send it around to the group, but that was recently completed, sent to the town manager, and it's going to be posted onto our engineering webpage soon. Bike parking, I know this was of interest a while back. There was a list of locations that was provided to us to add bike parking around town. We were able to secure a grant to receive 10 bike hitches. I will email Daniel the locations that we put in the grant application just so you have it. But most of them were focused on Park Road and New Britain Avenue. The grant is the Active Transportation Demonstration and Education Project. So you know, we're supposed to get those bike hitches this fall. There's a little bit of delay in getting them to us, I guess, for some reason. That's what we heard from Prague. New Park Avenue Complete Streets Project. Don't really have a major update on this. We did complete the field survey, and the design, the preliminary design is just about ready to start. That's going to be another road diet project that we're going to be working on. Tropic Trails, with respect to the two sections between Duffield Drive and Farmington Ave, we're still waiting for state signatures on the agreements. Once we have those, we should be able to start the bidding process for those. We're hoping to be in construction this season on those. LaSalle Road, that was mentioned. So LaSalle Road, as everybody knows, we had the expanded outdoor dining to accommodate the restaurants on LaSalle Road, and we also did Farmington Ave and sections of Blueback Square. So that's planned to return. We're targeting April, May timeframe. There's still a couple things that we need to resolve. When we set up the expanded outdoor dining, we made LaSalle Road one-way northbound from Arapahoe to Farmington Ave. And then once the expanded outdoor dining was removed, we kept that as one-way northbound. And we instituted through this process the head-out angled parking. Once the expanded outdoor dining was removed from LaSalle Road, that became problematic with some. We had people driving the wrong way on LaSalle Road against the one-way. We also had a lot of complaints and issues with the head-out angle parking. So we've gone around and around on this issue. We've made modifications to LaSalle Road to improve the compliance with the parking maneuvers, and also to reduce or hopefully eliminate the wrong way driving. The wrong way driving has improved quite a bit. It does occur, unfortunately, from time to time, but it's nowhere near as much as it used to be. And then the head-out angle parking, we plan on keeping it on LaSalle Road from Farmington Ave to Arapahoe. The section from Arapahoe to Ellsworth, we're reverting back. That's the two-way section. It's just too difficult to get compliance. And so we're, at least for that section, we're reverting back. The expanded outdoor dining in the right-of-way, when it returns, I think will reinforce the head-out angle parking and the correct way to drive the roadway. And eventually the town is looking at doing some sort of permanent change to LaSalle Road and reconstructing that area. So more to come on that. We're kind of targeting the 2023 timeframe to do a major change in that area. All right, Fern Street sidewalk gap. This is a project that we started last year. We did the traffic signal modification on Fern Street at Mountain Road at 100 Drive. There's a section of missing, or I shouldn't say missing, it was never built on Fern Street between Mountain Road and Holbrook. So we're looking to construct that this spring. That was actually something that was brought to our attention by Mary Ellen Thibodeau as a sidewalk gap issue. We reviewed it a couple of years ago, and we realized that it's something that we should be constructing to accommodate and eliminate that gap. So that's planned for this year. Traffic calming program is something you should be hearing more about soon. We are just about done with the final draft. We need to share it with the town manager and then see possibly going to the town council with that. I'm not really sure in what form, but you'll be hearing more about that. I'm hoping that it goes forward and we can start actually using the program very soon this year. And then as far as road projects, so I gave Daniel the list, but I'll run down it quickly. We have a handful of roads that are planned for construction this year that have some bicycle improvements planned. And as we typically do, we will share the concept plans for the layouts with this committee to get feedback in advance of the construction. So
1 second, Dwayne, sorry. Caller that ends in 12, so 314 and a 12. If you could just put yourself on mute, get a lot of feedback from your phone. Sorry, thanks, Dwayne. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. So the first one is Ridgewood Road. This is a planned roadway reconstruction, so a pretty significant construction project. Ridgewood Road from Sedgwick to Tunxus, we believe we can install bike lanes there like we have in other sections of Ridgewood Road. This is the last piece of Ridgewood Road to be reconstructed. So when we have a plan for that, like I said, we'll share that for bike lanes on that section of Ridgewood Road. Mountain Road from West Maxwell to Glenwood is planned for a mill and pave, and that's actually planned this spring. So we should be getting you guys plans soon for that. Obviously, we have shoulders. I won't call them bike lanes. I know that's a sensitive subject out there. So we're hoping to get more substantial shoulders or bike lanes on Mountain Road in that section. And then the section of Fern Street that intersects with it. So Fern Street from Mountain Road to Willowbrook. We're looking to repave that in the spring as well. And I think we should be able to get buffered bike lanes there. And then the other piece of Fern Street that has not been repaved in a while from Fernbrook, to North Main Street. And same thing, we're looking to get buffered bike lanes there. So there's a section of Fern Street in between Willowbrook and Fernbrook that was paved maybe 10, 15 years ago, but it's still in decent shape. So we plan on putting the bike lanes there as well. And this will complete all of Fern Street with buffered bike lanes. And we'll send the plans to you guys in advance. So that section of Mountain Road and the 2 sections of Fern are planned for this spring. And then a little bit complicated, but as you know, we're looking to do the North Main Street Road Diet Trial. And we have the bridge project on North Main. We had a pavement failure near the bridge, and we had Public Works out there, shut the road down to do a repair. The road diet trial is planned for 6 months. If we start it in the summertime, when the bridge is done, we will not be able to repave the road until next construction season, and it won't last. So I'm looking to do selective mill and pave areas north of the bridge by Public Works, and then south of the North Main Street Bridge to Fern Street. That section near the American School for the Deaf is in disrepair. So the plan is in our first round of milling and paving, we'll do a thin mill and pave of that section. Because it's in advance of the bridge and the road diet trial, we will more than likely be putting down temporary paint in the 4-lane section, which will then get modified when we do the road diet trial. Because it's a very small piece contained within the planned road diet trial, I can't really put the road diet for that small piece. So unfortunately, the timing just didn't work out well to do that full section. We were contemplating repaving North Main from Asylum to Fern, but I've reduced that just to the areas of need. Assuming the road diet trial is successful and we want to implement it next construction season, we'll mill and pave that entire section of North Main from Asylum to Fern and then repaint it to make it permanent. A few other roads to mention. So Mohegan Drive is another section that we're looking to mill and pave. This is planned in the summertime. Mohegan Drive from Lyman down to Albany Ave. And I believe we should be able to get at least to Sharrows, if not bike lanes there. It's a pretty wide section, so we still need to take a closer look at that. Whitman Avenue is another one we're looking to mill and pave from North Main Street to the west of the cemetery entrance. We're not stopping an actual street, so I don't have like a street name to give the westerly boundary, but it's in the curved area near the cemetery, if you're familiar with that. That's planned for Sharrows. And then Oakwood Avenue, there's an ongoing MDC water and sewer project on Oakwood Avenue from Park Road down to the I-84 or Kane Street intersection. So we're going to explore bike lanes on that section of Oakwood Ave. That's also planned for the summer. We're repaving more roads than this, but those are just the ones that have some bicycle facilities that are planned. And then North Main Street, the road diet trail. So I do apologize for having this added onto the agenda and then taking it off. VHB, our consultant, will be in attendance at the next PBC meeting. I'll be here as well to go through it in detail. We provided a concept plan to members of the town council. There was obviously some concern with regards to that. It was just a concept plan. It wasn't intended to be a final design for the trial, and we're still vetting it. There will be some changes to it, and they will provide an update and go through all of that with you guys at the next meeting. We are also, other elements, we've conducted outreach with other municipalities that have road diets and just that are similar to North Main Street. That was in the scope of services. And the fire marshal's office for West Hartford is reaching out to other fire departments in those communities where the road diets were completed, just to discuss potential concerns. And that's all part of the consideration before we go forward with the concept plans. So I don't know the length of the presentation to come, but it'll probably be a PowerPoint presentation, and we should be able to address all of the questions that you guys may have. With that, I'll turn it over. It sounds like you guys have some feedback for me on the road diet.
Thanks, Dwayne. I know Beth Bai joined for a question on that, but I want to open up the commission first to see if you have any questions before I open it up to the rest of the group.
Sandy, you're mute. Go on mute. All right, well, Sandy figures that out. Dwayne, I just was, and maybe this isn't appropriate for you because you're just relaying, but I was interested, the fire marshal or concerns about, what were their general concerns, in a sense, like you're not putting physical impediments in and the road's not changing from a dimensional perspective. Do you know what they were concerned about?
I don't know that they have any concerns.
Oh, okay.
I just reached out to them to let them know there is a fire station on Brace Road,
Yep.
which is near the southern terminus of the proposed road diet trial. So I just didn't want them to be surprised. So it's just in order of business, we communicated it to them, provided them the concept plans, and gave them the opportunity. I have discussed with the fire department. They did have some questions. You're correct. There is no physical obstructions. For example, like on New Britain Avenue, we have raised medians, which create an emergency response issue at times because of the congestion in combination with the medians. We won't have that here.
Right.
I think generally speaking, because it's the first road diet in town with a two-way center left turn lane, they just operationally want to know what happens in different scenarios. If there's a bus pulled over or somebody in the center left turn lane, what happens as the fire truck approaches? Are they supposed to stay in that lane, try to turn left, pull over all the way to the right side of the road? Those sorts of things. So I think they're just reaching out to other fire departments to ask general questions. I don't know if they have a specific issue. I have given them the timeline. You know, I've mentioned that we're going forward with this process and I hope to have a public information meeting on the 29th. I assume some of the public may ask questions about our emergency response. I don't know, but that was kind of the deadline I gave the fire department if they had any concerns or comments to pass them along by then.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, Sandy. No good. Sandy, can you type into the chat?
She's not muted, but there's no volume.
Yeah. You can type into the chat, Sandy.
Well, we can loop back to Sandy as soon as she gets volume. So I'll open up. Any of the commission members have comments? So I'll open it up to the rest of the group. Beth Bai, I know you joined. Rick, welcome. Thank you very much for coming. You know, always great to see you. Beth, you joined in, and I know this was a one thing you definitely want to talk about. So I'll turn to you first, and then you know, Rick, I don't know if you wanted to ask some questions as well, but you're on video, so I always assume if you're on video.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, super. Well, thank you for what you do. I know what it's like to be out at 7 o'clock at night, and I really appreciate your service, everybody. I wanted to just take a couple minutes as this is getting closer to being in action, and it was good to hear Dwayne update on the road jobs and all the places where bike lanes are going to be added. There's certain places that it seems like that can be done easily, others where they're trying to make it work. I know as a constant rider that it's always frustrating because it feels like you have bike lanes where it's easy, but then you come into an intersection and there's nothing when you need it to protect you against all those cars. So it's a challenge all the way around. I guess I wanted to come because originally when I was in the legislature, I got bond money to study North Main Street. And always for me, it was about a vision for our community and who we were as a community. It was more than a road project. It's who are we and what can we be as a community? How are we different than other communities? And I always felt like if we had a beautifully done Main Street, when people are coming through town, it's like, wow, this place is different. They're really thinking about how kids can ride their bikes and families can ride their bikes and people can use it as a place of transport. So I just wanted to say that that was really the original drive is how are we different? And also, how can we link both Bishop's Corner and the center, which are two important economic development places in our town. I just think where we've learned in the pandemic that people can live almost anywhere they want and work where they want. It's really important that we think about this now more than ever. We're different. We're a town where for every person who works in town and commutes, somebody works and lives in town. It makes us really uniquely positioned if we could make the roads feel safe to be a town where people bike to work because they work where they live or they work at home and they bike in the morning. But it's been 7 years since I first worked to secure that bond funding to address this issue and connect Bishop's Corner in the center and worry about pedestrians, bike, and car safety. It's been delay, study, delay. I've been in government many years, and I can tell you the sure way to kill something is to delay it, to try to outlast them. It really is an enemy of progress, and the longer you wait and the more things you do and the more people you ask, the harder it is to do something revolutionary. It's just the reality. Even the word trial, my blood pressure just goes right through the roof there. We're doing a trial. It's like the plan was there's a really good plan. And as soon as you say we're going to do a trial, again, it gives just more time for people who are opposed to jump up. And this is about a vision. So I just ask this commission to think about who we are as a town, who do we want to be. Look at LaSalle Road. As someone who's been waiting for North Main Street for 7 years, the woman who did the study was pregnant. Her daughter's now in first grade. I saw us transform LaSalle Road in a week. Maybe it was a month of planning. I don't know that the fire department was asked what would it mean, and I don't know that we studied all the other possible things. It was an economic development imperative, and it's leading to some long-term changes that are really good for our town. So I think, I also think of the road diet. I remember when Asylum Lane was 4 lanes, and then they made like a road diet where on Asylum went down to 1 lane in every direction with a turn. So we do have experience with this in town. And so I just guess I want to just urge this commission to just help our community make biking, and I know this is what you do, that's why you spend your nights here, to make us a more bikeable town, to please stop the delay on this, anything you can do to move it along. It is an economic development issue, just like LaSalle Road was. We need to draw families here. We need to connect Bishop's Corner and the center in a meaningful way. The only way this is going to happen is with leadership and vision. This is about, I'll close by saying how I started. This is about being a community with a vision. And we need the leadership to move toward that vision. So I see this as an opportunity, and I thank you for the time that you're putting in, because we could be better, we could be different, we could be really different than other communities. Just think of the people that demanded sidewalks in West Hartford however long ago. I'm sure it wasn't popular among some builders, among some residents that had to pay for that. It systematically changed our town, and it's part of why our town has survived so well over the years, that structural thing that maybe wasn't popular among some. But leadership isn't about always responding to every little thing. It's about having a vision and then bringing people along. And I know that's what you're doing with the survey and getting all that great information. So thanks for giving me a few minutes. I hope that wasn't too long, but man, I hope I'm not here back in 2 years saying another trial, another delay. We need to do this, and I think we need to do it soon. So I'll stop.
No, Beth, thank you very much, and no need to stop. But it's really great to hear that and hear your perspective from your past experience as well. So I want to ask a follow-up question. Your experience with trials and the after trial period, I think is a kind of a resonating concern for myself, is keeping that momentum going so that trial becomes adopted do you have any experience on that, and kind of share your perspective how to get that forward from trial to, to in concrete
Well,
and
right, sure, yes, you get the town council to say, this is what we're doing, this is what we believe is the right thing for our community, and this is what we're doing. That's what I'm saying. It's like, believe me, when Blueback Square came, there were tons of residents. They put like latrines on their front lawns. They hated it. But the leadership at the time said, this is who we are as a community, this is what we're going to do. And they made their way through it with opposition. If you think about it, we tend not to do those kinds of things that bring opposition, it seems like lately in West Hartford. And we don't want something where most people disagree, but you've got to expect that if you're making any change, there are going to be people upset. And as leaders, we have to say, what is in the community's interest? How do we move our community forward? We don't move it forward by not changing anything. We move it forward by saying, I was talking to my wife, Tracy, about this. Like, cycling brings so much joy. You think about joy, ride your bike, you'll be happy. It's a great thing. Now we have more electric bikes. We do want kids to be able to ride their bikes to school, and that kind of thing, as your thing said. So I think a lot of it is just not when you use the word trial, you're basically saying to people, if you don't like this, you have some time to organize and kill it. Instead of, just saying, this is what we're doing, this is what we believe. We know North Main Street is one of our least safe. It's unsafe. It's not like it's working great now. So I just think it's trying to get the word trial out of it. I don't know if that's helpful, but and obviously I have strong opinions about this. I just think it's about leadership and saying, this is who we are. We're a bike-friendly community. We're going to make this road safe. It's the right thing to do. So.
Thank you. I'm not the moderator here, so if somebody else wants to jump in, please do.
Sandy had a chat question. Dwayne, I'm not sure if you saw that. Were you able to? Sandy Fry had said, I do not understand what Dwayne said about paving of Main Street relative to the road diet.
Well, to answer your question, Sandy, the paving of Main Street will not impede the road diet. The problem that I face, I'm the person that decides what streets get repaved in West Hartford, and it's not an easy decision sometimes. But the fact of the matter is there's sections of North Main Street, particularly between Asylum and Fern, within the road diet limits that are falling apart. And so the choice that we were hoping to do was, let's not put paint down on a newly paved road. Let's do it now while we have, when the bridge project's done, put the pavement markings down for the trial on the existing roadway, go through the trial, which is supposed to go up to 6 months, and then go from there. Now those markings could stay. We would then repave the road, but they may need to be modified for some reason, minor or otherwise. The problem is the timing of it. There's no way that some of that road is going to last through another winter. We had Public Works out there doing a paving patch, if you will, just to get it through this current winter. So the thought was just to refine it. We won't repave the whole thing. We'll just do the pieces that need it the most to get it through another winter. And we'll do it in the springtime, get the bridge project done, do the trial, and then once everything's done, make a recommendation and go forward with it.
So Dwayne, this is Paul Hogan here. Why can't you paint it in preparation for the trial? What's the big problem with doing that?
Well, we still have the bridge project going on right now. We also need to have signage installed. We need to modify the traffic signals, the ones at North Main and Asylum and Fern. And so going from a 4-lane road to a 3-lane road for the trial and the road diet takes a little bit of preparation in order to get it set up. To modify the signals, we need state approval in order to do that. So there's a little bit of lead up work to get to that point. And if we're repaving the road, like I said, it's not the entire length. It's probably 1,000 feet on North Main Street, which is, I think the entire trial is 3,000 feet, something like that. So to have it 4 to 3, then go across a bridge project that has traffic shifting over and then back to 3 and then back to 4. It just logistically doesn't make sense to do that at this point.
Hello, this is Ethan Frankel with Bike West Hartford. Dwayne, are you saying that there won't be shoulders and just 2 lanes in one direction during the test or the trial, whatever you want to call it? Or are you just saying that the painting won't be on new pavement?
Are you asking with respect to the small repaving that I just talked about?
I'm talking about in that section where you have problems with the road. I guess I'm not understanding what is not going to be happening this year till that road is totally redone. What is not in regard to the road diet?
The road diet is going to go forward. The paving that I just talked about has nothing to do with impacting the road diet schedule or layout. It's just something that's going to occur in advance of the road diet trial because the pavement is falling apart. I'm not even sure that I would put the pavement markings down on the pavement in the condition that it's in right now.
So how would you do a trial without having lanes? I guess that's what I'm not understanding.
All right, let me run through it again. So the plan is to repave a very short section of North Main Street before the bridge project is done, before the trial starts. After that short section is repaved, we plan on putting down temporary markings, and it'll be the same layout as it is now. It'll be 4 lanes. Bridge project will finish, and then we're going to modify the pavement markings according to the road diet layout. And then the trial will go for 6 months. We'll evaluate what's good to that.
I see. Thank you.
So Dwayne, it's Paul Hogan again. So do the temp markings will you grind those down? Because I've seen in the past the town has done that. How will you remove the temporary markings to then implement the road diet markings?
There's essentially 2 ways that I'm aware of. One is to grind them down, which more than likely will be what we do. If you have markings on new pavement, there's also like a water blasting technique that you can use, but it's very expensive, and I don't know that we'll need to do that. My thought is to use cheap paint, if you will, on the newly paved section that we're going to do this spring, as opposed to the epoxy pavement markings that are put down to last at least 5 years on a busy road. So we'll probably grind them off.
Dwayne, I have a follow-up paint question. It's a pretty important visual marker for pedestrians, motorists, and cyclists. The paint you talk about, what makes it different, and will that impact the visibility of anyone using the roadway?
The temporary paint, it just won't be as reflective as what we typically put down, which is the epoxy markings, but it'll be on new pavement, which will be very, very dark black. So it should be fine for the time being.
This is Ethan Frankel again. So I just wanted to say, I wanted to thank Beth Bye for all that she said, and it reminds me so much of why I've voted for her for so many offices that she's run for, because she is so good at putting into words exactly the way I think we could say Bike West Hartford feels and the way I feel. And everything she said was just spot on, and I do feel that this has to move forward without inviting people to tell us why we shouldn't do it, and just get it done, because we have a hard time just getting things done when it comes to bicycle infrastructure in town. We've done a lot of things over a long period. It's about the 11 years that I've been involved, but it's comes slowly, and things like this are way overdue. And I do, as we get into the details of this thing, I am concerned about the discussion that went on at the last meeting with the presentation, where there was talk about changing those shoulders from 5 feet down to 4 feet. And I just want to say that I think that it's been shown by the past study that we can have 10-foot lanes and we can have 5-foot shoulders. And we do need to reduce the speed of traffic, and narrowing the lanes is going to help reduce the traffic, reduce the speeds. The wider the lanes are, the faster people want to go. And we do need those 5-foot shoulders, even if we can't call them bike lanes, which is, when you think about what Beth said, is really ridiculous. But nevertheless, 5-foot lane makes a whole lot of difference between the 4-foot and the 5-foot. That's it. Thank you very much.
So Dwayne and anyone else in the commission or residents just want to, mine's almost 8 o'clock, but I think, Beth, I heard, leadership through opposition is kind of the theme of getting this road diet in effect and past the trial phase and into execution. So just echo what Ethan said and what everyone else in the commission said as well. And Dwayne, I don't have you on the calendar for anything else, but I want to make sure we kind of send you off as a group to make sure we don't have any other questions for you at the moment till we move to the next topic, which coincidentally is new business, but priorities for the commission to focus on for 2021. So maybe we got the right group here to kick through this. I guess I can't hear everyone breathing, so I'm assuming everyone's okay to let Dwayne go. All right. So for the next meeting, for those listening, the consultant.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dwayne. So Dwayne will be here next meeting, along with the consultants, VHB, and we'll see what they have. Dwayne knows 5-foot lanes or don't show up is kind of the priority at this point, and looking forward to moving the North Main Street along. So thank you very much, Dwayne. Thanks for jumping on.
You're welcome. I'm going to stand by. I'll stick it out.
Okay. All right. So moving on, I'm going to share my screen here. With 8 o'clock, we picked this up last commission meeting, and I wanted to keep tackling this as we focus on the commission for 2021. And this definitely falls in line with, what Ethan and Beth said, a vision for the town and how we want to play a role in the commission and shape this town for a better future. On a personal level, I got a bicycle trailer over the weekend to take my 1.5-year-old son around town, and did not go on any main streets, just went to some off-trail paths, and it just puts such a highlight on, how motorists interact with pedestrians and bicyclists in a negative way. Some positive, there are some good drivers out there, so I don't want to hark everyone down, but what can we do 2021? Formalize a little bit more of our action plan in a sense where we have to build in fluidity, things that we need to change, but how can we look at what we have, how can we work forward, and what can we set ourselves for targets to get these things done, get them moving along. And anyone listening that wants to join in on anyone's efforts, we're always happy to have another hand come in or someone jump on the call and help us through everything. So based on feedback, just broken into 3 quick buckets: education and understanding. Educating residents as well as understanding their perspective, and facilities. So how do we look at West Hartford facilities? I talked with Jay Stange a couple weeks ago, and he brought in great perspective from where he was at in Alaska, how they had consultants look at the town to take a little bit of the heat off of the town. but also provide a third party's perspective and safe environment, pedestrian safe zones and safety awareness. Just want to jump into this one first because, Ken, Jill, and Colin, and everyone that part of this survey, which is the commission and residents, this is live, this is out. It's nice to just see something on the board it's really nice to see someone on the board with like a check mark. It's something where we go so fast through every month that there's a lot going on. It's really nice to just look and see something that's in effect and exciting to get this feedback. So that's understanding, my perspective. So I want to get the commission and residents feedback on, as we look at 2021, how we can maybe add to this agenda for the commission in a realistic way. I have first sign of progress go down here to say, we're probably not going to figure this all out by a certain date, but we might be able to get one milestone, a small milestone, and put that on the board and then move it up and do the next tackle. So when I look at education, elementary school curriculum, bicycle safety, first sign of progress, a conversation with the Board of Ed, interested, any interested residents on the call that want to jump in and get bike education into our programs, into our schools, and any other potential items. So estimated target date for first sign of progress. We tailored this a little bit in the last call, but maybe spring 2020, just real first sign of progress is to get this conversation started with the town. Next, a couple other people brought up police partnership, maybe a police officer on the commission. What can we look at as a first sign of progress? Again, I typed in some of these, so this isn't full commission consent. This is some things we talked about. So let's take up education and understanding for about 10 minutes. If you're on the commission, I want to hear your feedback on each one of these three topics, or if you think we should add another topic to this bucket here. And with that, a little bit of details, what you're thinking, and what would be a sign of progress for that. So I'll open up to the group.
I'll make just a quick comment on the first column. If you could change it to youth education, it's just a broad thing. The whole thing is education and understanding. But I think we should have we just saw that the survey was only participated in by people over the age of 30. But yet part of at least the vision we talked about a year ago was this idea will kids bike to school, and Beth Bai just described that too. So to me, it's youth.
Great, thanks, Colin.
I just want to respond to that. I mean, that's fine, but do we not want to have a place for education in general?
The reason I say it, Jill, is education's up top there. It says education understanding. If there's another column for a different, we actually talked about senior citizen effect last time we were on. So it could be another one, but to stay focused on what each one is. And since you go down there, it's all about the elementary school curriculum, bicycle safety. So it really is a focused pillar on it. Doesn't mean I don't want education for everybody else, but if we just say education and then have one big, then I don't know what we're actually going to do with 20.
Yeah, but I just want, as a cycling instructor, I just want to point out that we don't want to forget the other 90% of the riders who also need to be educated.
Absolutely, I agree.
Can I pick up the momentum from you too? So Jill and Colin, so youth education seems like a pretty, not straightforward, but it's easier to grasp how to start that process. Work with kids in schools and the Board of Education. But what would you think for broader education for the rest of the population, and maybe a first sign of progress for that?
Well, I suppose, I mean, I agree that they should be separate, but I just didn't want to erase the other education. I also want to point out that that first column is just like something Beth Bai had mentioned. It is something that has get pushed forever. We've been talking about this for 10 years,
Yep.
and we've made zero progress, like nothing, right? But the other ways, other towns are doing, New Haven has a huge bike education program. So it's sort of like smart cycling, cycling 101. Simsbury does it too. So we could think about various kinds of adult cycling education classes. They're like half-day classes. You know, Bike Walk Connecticut might be putting together some of these kinds of programs. I don't know, but I know New Haven just started their own. They just have their own cycling.
It's a great idea, Jill. If truly 40% people are biking more because of this, maybe some of them are new. So why not take that iron while it's hot, and and try to find those cyclists just jumping in.
Okay. So Jill, you mentioned that this has been on the to-do list for quite some time, right? And that's where I want to utilize our commission and put some dates on the board for what we can look back and say accomplished, not accomplished, we're falling behind, and really put a highlight on what we're not doing and what we're doing. So I agree. And for broader education, I remember, Sandy, I remember a couple of years ago, I thought we had a plan of action in place for, I want to say a billboard or maybe not a billboard, but there was some educational, I want to say signage that was going up, or am I imagining things?
Yeah, I think you're imagining things. I had brought up the idea once of having the businessmen in the center, when they put these banners out, like eat, drink, walk, drink, shop, that they might actually be willing to consider putting up some bike safety banners, which many cities do. They wouldn't have to be up permanently, but in the spring and summer, 3 feet, it's the law, wear a helmet, that sort of thing.
I know Connecticut DOT is doing some not education, but just awareness. How will we tackle education?
Daniel, I just want to say, when I said we've been working on it for 10 years, it's the youth education we've been working on for 10 years.
Yeah.
We've had bike to school days, and I don't think we've really tried anything in adult education.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, this is a cork board, right? It's a lot of unknowns, but things we can take really small steps to get progress on and put ourselves in more of a group trajectory, right? So when I think of broader education, cycling classes, bike safety banners, we talked about COVID, people increase cycling. Do we need any awareness? Is there another way we could do first sign of progress or help get more classes through community centers? Jill, would that be something that might be possible? I think of like
that would be possible. That would be possible. Like West Hartford Recreation Department could sponsor them. The ones in New Haven are sponsored by sort of like West Hartford Bicycling, Bike West Hartford. It's privately run, kind of nonprofit. But I think it could be done anyway through Park and Rec, through Bike West Hartford. We probably shouldn't do it, or the commission probably shouldn't do it, but we can certainly support it and help organize it.
Okay. Any other?
I'm going to say something that's just outlandish and a wild card, but I come from racing and bicycle background. So would we ever have anything to do with bicycle racing? And I know that the idea is not that you're going after the enthusiast or the racer, but more just when they had those events in Hartford, it just created a whole sense of riding.
Mm-hmm.
So I more of an event that creates understanding or awareness. Certainly the towns that used to do that kind of thing got a lot of awareness around bicycling, and sometimes usage changes. I don't know if it fits in here, but again, just in the wild card idea.
Yeah, I just thought of Ethan Frankel and Scott. Ethan Franklin, Scott Franklin on Center Streets right there for broader education.
Or just going off the end and doing something that had a visual ID to it that is big and different.
Colin, we had approached the town a few years ago about that. And when we were starting Center Streets, or just before starting Center Streets, and they were concerned about A, the liability, and B, the cost to close down the streets, both for the police and Department of Public Works, but also the cost to the local businesses, if it's closed down on a weekend, for instance, for half a day. So there was a lot of hesitancy on their part about going forward.
It's like the Harvard Marathon. It's a big idea, and I don't even know if we're in the timing for it anymore. Anyhow, I don't know if cycling and cycling racing matters to people like that, but it's just something different. I'm listening to Beth By and kind of be ambitious.
Yeah. Is this open to the public? Is this just commission members talking here?
Alan, chime in. Go for it.
Yeah. So I don't want to say anything is not important. I mean, everything on your list there is important. I think education is important. But, I mean, first of all, I'm not really sure that the commission is really the place where education should be taking place. I mean, there's other ways for that. But really, I feel like you took that safe environment is just squished over on the right with two little columns. I mean, you got 50% of the people in your survey said that it was unsafe, and the extra 10% that I don't think you counted when you were doing that, said it was extremely unsafe. So 60% of the people don't think it's safe to bike in West Hartford and walking. I mean, I literally, and I hate to dwell on these things, but because I live right near this one crossing on Mountain Road that I'm always going across, I barely go a day where I don't see somebody there exclaiming about cars speeding by and nobody stopping. And so what I'm trying to say is I would concentrate on, we have people who know how to walk and they know where they need to go. And we just need to make sure that people can get to their bus stops and people can get to stores and things like that and cross the street in West Hartford Center and not feel like, they got to look over their shoulder every second. So that would be my 2 cents on it. That was what I would focus on. This commission should be their focus.
Thank you, Alan. And I want to kind of summarize, right?
This is Ethan Frankel. If I can have 1 second, just regarding the question of bike racing. Scott mentioned that we talked about it to the town, but the reason that we talked about it was because there's an organization called CCAP, which is very active in Connecticut, and it happens that their executive director, Jed Kornblue, lives in West Hartford. And he runs this organization, and it's a tremendous organization for youth cycling and to get involved in racing, both mountain biking and road racing and cyclocross. So it's happening already, and it's active. And they had a booth at Bike West Hartford 2 years ago. At Center Street, I meant to say. Anyway, that's happening. CCAP, look it up. There's a great organization. If you're interested in bike racing and having youth involved, take a look at it because they're doing great things all over the state.
Yeah. Thanks, Ethan. Thanks, Tracy. So, Alan.
Kevin Feely, can I chime in for 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
Okay.
You're the 2 number. Nice to see you.
Yes. I apologize for that, by the way. I'm very sorry.
It's all good.
On the education, we've been trying to get the education during the school day. I think we would be better served by trying to look at getting the education at some kind of an after-school program in the spring. And I know that this is too late to do it for this year, and with all the other stuff going on, it's probably not even a good time to try. But it might be a time to approach them. Most of the schools have some kind of spring, usually a spring and a fall afternoon day for families and stuff. And maybe we could talk them into doing a spring or fall day for bicycle education for the kids. I've got two grandsons at Smith, and both are enthusiastic riders, but I think that that's something that we might want to look at.
Yeah.
Second thing, New Haven has a program. It's called 20 is Plenty. I don't know if it's a viable program or anything about it, but, and I was thinking about this on driving on Mountain Road one day, and you know, and as we all know, the speed limit of 30 miles an hour there, the speed limit sign actually says suggested minimum speed, and it's, you know, but it's kind of frightening. But I mean, I live on a street that connects Ridgewood to Berkshire, right next to the high school, and people cut through here all the time, easily going 30, 35 miles, well, 35 to 40 miles an hour. The guy across the street and I now he parks his old truck in front of his house, and I parked my car on the other side of the street just to slow people down through, force them into a funnel. But it's, and as I said, I love living, having moved to Connecticut 4 years ago. My wife and I love living here, but the driving is just, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway, those are just some kind of observations that that 20 is Plenty is something we may want to draft onto. I mean, it may not be a viable option, but I know it was growing out of New Haven, the number of people who were hit as pedestrians in New Haven, and I know it's a problem here in the Hartford area.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's a great suggestion. I just want to add that I believe the default speed limit is 35 in West Hartford, right? So I live on a small residential street, and you could speed 35 down this street with people walking their dogs in the middle of the street and everything, and you are not speeding.
Well, and one of the problems is that in order to change the speed on a residential street, you have to get the state to agree.
Right. So
Yeah.
I want to pick up on that from you both, Alan and Kevin. So I think what the concern is, right, as a commission, there's a lot that we could take on. There's a lot that we need to prioritize and take a look at what makes the most sense to focus our efforts on. So Alan, when you bring up safe environment, there's only 2 columns, right? This is a working draft with the commission right now, and we're trying to filter this down to see what makes the most sense and how we can tackle some of these things. And I feel like that's something we can use to understand what our strengths are as a group. You know, maybe events. I get a little nervous when I hear events because there's a lot of hours, a lot of coordination to throw an event. I think advocacy and education, especially for kids living in town, if you're at home for school too often, and COVID has brought out more people, we got to look at safety, and I think that is a responsibility of ours. And part of that is getting the survey back from the residents. So don't take this as the placemat for we're only going to put a bingo chip in one of these quarters and tackle that. We're filtering this down to see what makes the most sense and how we can tackle these things as a group and as a town. So I think we covered education for right now. Obviously, some of these things are TBD. Nothing here is set in stone. We just want to make sure we move the conversation along and use our resources and our time the best way we can help other residents. So I'm going to flip over to facilities for the moment. Let me just make this a little bit smaller so it's easier to see. Okay, where's... Everyone see my screen okay, or is this very hard to see? So we have I kind of want to switch to safe environment, but we're just hit facilities real quick. So we have the bicycle facilities network. This needs some tweaking, but we did reach a consensus on east-west, north-south aspirational routes. We're going to work as a commission just to review those one last time. That way the town has the aspirational east-west, north-south routes. These are in the sense of money and design is not an object. We've been asked to take a look at what we would think it would be the best and the vision of the town. Just stealing Beth's words, so copyright still goes to you, Beth. And then in this, right, we have the bicycle facilities plan. So I want to make sure we understand that that is still an outstanding item. And I believe, was it Todd Dumay was looking at that, Dwayne? I don't know if you're still online, but there was someone working on that within the town. I'm just blanking the engineer at the moment. So this is something that is on our plate right now. We have to take a deeper look at and come to consensus on. North Main Street Road Diet Trial. It still says trial. Paving of trial area, 5-foot buffer lanes for ped bike safety. Paving of trial. During that time, I just think it's a great opportunity for us as a commission and residents to get out, during that trial time on the sidewalk, get that feedback. We did a lot during the trial study. I remember, going on walks. Mary Ellen held dozens of walks with people. I think it'd be a great time to get people back out, maybe a group walk led by the commission and in partner with Bike West Hartford to take a walk down that street during the trial period, get some great feedback from people and testimonials, maybe a survey on our side as well. And then lastly, part of facilities, so I'll open up for questions on facilities, is off-street pedestrian and bike lanes. Alan, when I hear you talk, I think prioritization, like what can we tackle? So I think off-street pedestrian bike lanes, we have the Trout Brook Trail, a lot of that's moving forward. Dwayne mentioned there might be an opportunity to look at an east-west route stemming from Trout Brook Trail going into Bishop's Corner area. So that's kind of on the agenda as a back burner item, but there. So commission members, I'll want to open up facilities to you, what you guys think would be a good next step, whether that would be a target date for something very small, or we take something off or add something on. Denise, Paul, I know you guys are there too. And then I'll check in with.
I know what to say. I'll just say something quick. I like these three. I like that. I like the mix. I really love the off street because that is such. It's really hard to come up from Trout Brook. It's just tough to get up to Bishop. And I think that'd be really interesting. So I just realized that things like June and spring 2021 are in 2 months, 3 months. I mean,
Yep.
they're going to come around and smack us. So maybe you have, I don't know if those are, if spring 2021 feels less far away than June 2021, I don't know. But I wonder if there's one that we know we can do this year and then by the end of the year and then one in 2022.
Yep. Denise?
Well, I didn't think, maybe not last, no, I don't think it was last month, but the month before. Something that Alan said that I thought sounded really good was like when we were talking about the 3 main in each direction or 2 main in each direction, that, we already have the Trout Brook Trail. What if we had some connections from the Trout Brook Trail to the main, what is it called, like commerce centers, like from the Trout Brook Trail to the center, from the Chartwell Trail to Bishop's Corner, and I think even from the Chartwell Trail down to New Britain. I mean, those are really, really small connections. Like from Chartwell Trail to Main Street, I don't know, I used to walk that all the time, and it felt like the street got really, really wide in that little section, and then it shrinks down again once you hit Main Street. Like, I don't know, I can't remember, isn't it like 4 lanes or something? Does it have to be 4 lanes there? Can't we have something off the street that takes you, that makes that connection? And the spaces between them are really small, I think. You know, like we were talking, I think maybe 2 months ago, about the trail possibly having a section, what was it, north of Asylum, I think? Or no, not north of Asylum. No, I can't remember, but I feel like Dwayne mentioned it. And if it, you know, if it went up further north, I don't know, just like something that could, some sort of project, just to put the idea in, like, I don't know who decides, it's town council or something, but, or maybe Dwayne, I know Dwayne, you said you're in charge of what gets paved and stuff, of just these off-road connections to the main centers. So
Yeah.
that, you know, if you're, everyone likes the Trevor Trail, right? Isn't that what that survey said, that the thing they liked about it the most was the off-road path?
And Denise, you might share, like, I know you're newer to West Hartford, so where is your perspective based on? Because I remember you came from a different town and it had more off-road trails, right?
Yeah, I'm from California, and I spent 6 years in Santa Barbara before moving here. I've been here now for 4 years, and and in Santa Barbara we had it's a big biking town. You know, I forget that big race that goes up California, goes through it and stuff. So there's a lot of enthusiasts in general, but there's a lot of off-road paths, like some that parallel the freeway. I used to be able to ride my bike for about 45 minutes, go 10 miles between 2 towns, and be, you know, insulated, be off the main roads, and it felt secure, even though it was more densely populated. And even driving downtown, it was more of a city. I don't know, it just, in general, it felt a lot safer than out here. Out here, I get told to get on the sidewalk, which you're not allowed to do in California. So it was really strange to hear motorists tell me to get off the road when there are sharrows painted on there. So I definitely share that sentiment that people had in the survey, that it doesn't feel safe here.
Yeah.
But in terms of, like, it, you know, I feel like that's just, to me, knowing nothing about government really, seems like a really easy thing to do, because the center / Blueback Square is really close to Trout Brook. And, you know, yeah, you could take, like, Boulevard, it feels pretty safe to me. But where, like, the trail kind of starts on Farmington, you know, there's that, I don't know, that space between Trout Brook and Main on Farmington just feels really wide, and it doesn't need to be, because it gets really thin again shortly after. Why couldn't there be an off-path section there? And it's really short. You know, it's like 2 blocks. I don't know.
Yeah.
And the thing with, like, once the trail ends, or I guess not ends, but, like, you kind of have to do that funky crossing the street to go behind, to continue and go behind New Britain. You know, like, you kind of go around all the things that are happening on New Britain. And if you wanted to get to, you know, like the bagel place or something, you have to get onto Quaker.
Yeah.
And then get on New Britain. And, you know, I don't know, there's enough sidewalk space there. So I guess once you pass that little section, that is a little bit terrifying, at least to me. I don't know. There it feels like it's very narrow, so maybe that's not that reasonable. But just, I don't know, that sounded like such a good idea to me. Just,
Yeah.
you know, sticking with the trail, you know, there's a lot there. There's, you know, spots that we're going to increase it on and maybe even go further north of what's currently planned. But it's not quite next to where everything is, but it's really, really close.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Denise. Yeah, the Tropic Trail, so it ends at Asylum. So thank you, Sandy. You're still on audio setbacks, but Sandy reminded, you know, it's going to stop north of Asylum. Dwayne mentioned at one point trying to get that moved up farther, right? Farther north and closer to Bishops. I think you bring up some phenomenal points, Denise, of using what we have and just adding some more connectors to get east-west into different places. And thanks, Colin, for earlier comment as well. I'm going to move over to safe environment. I know we're 8:30, so I want to respect everyone's time. And maybe we, you know, I don't want to pick this up next week, but these last two, right, are extremely important. So the Connecticut DOT, did I lose my slides here? Try to get to the next slide. Hold on. So the next slide, Connecticut DOT came out with this comprehensive pedestrian safety strategy in January 2021. If you haven't read it yet, it's great. Have a cup of coffee and check that out. And what I want to show you is, there we go. So for pedestrian safety, safe environment, the DOT study says that the town has the authority to establish pedestrian safe zones and lower traffic speeds to as low as 20 miles per hour. And I think there's a lot to be had in that. In addition to things we can position the town to act on related to the Connecticut DOT. I did email the Connecticut DOT. It should be in the attachment to, I believe, the meeting. It should have been in the meeting packet that's on the town website. But I emailed the Connecticut DOT because in the survey they said, you know, we're going to take a look at certain towns and for analysis. So state roadways are not out of reach for a town to consider for pedestrian safe zones and road diets is one part of that study. So I reached out to them to take a look at Bishop's Corner and also to take a look at New Britain Avenue and how we connect with them to get West Hartford included. And they recommended, not recommended, but they replied with, it is a town decision and there is a liaison, in a sense, at the town who is Matt Hart, and Matt Hart has appointed Dwayne Martin. So we have a real close connection with Dwayne to take a look at this study. And if you haven't already, it's the Connecticut Department of Transportation Comprehensive Pedestrian Safety Strategy to look at how we build that safe environment. And traffic speed, for me, is a huge one. I have this aspirational thing of reduce all traffic by 5 miles per hour on residential roads within town. Fall 2021 would be discussion with town engineers is my kind of placeholder here. This is also with Paul Hogan and Denise and David Beers, who's a resident helping out the commission. And then safety awareness. And, Paul, myself, and Jay Strange were just kind of had like a side conversation meeting of like, what can we do for safe environment? How do we get the town to enforce the protection of pedestrian and cyclists? Because you can build the best roadway, but if there's a car driving on it, it's only markings, right? So for future conversation, we have the complete streets policy. The town of West Hartford, this is the opening paragraph. Town of West Hartford actively promotes safe streets through design, education, and enforcement of all its transportation network. Thinking about, as a commission, if we can recommend some to the town of the sense of the town acknowledges the Connecticut DOT study and acknowledges the increased risk to pedestrians and pedestrian and bicyclists, and make a commitment, have the town make a commitment to enforcing violations to protect the people using pedestrian and bicycle facilities. So I want to open up, 8:35, so spend about 5 minutes on this, and then we can move to the last few items of the agenda. But I want the commission to weigh in on how we should tackle safe environment as a commission. What do we think are some early things we could tackle, and some signs of progress as well? And non-commission if as well, but I'll start with the commission. So Sandy, I don't know if you want to put some in the chat. Ken, Jill.
Are you looking to me to chat, Daniel?
Oh, no, any, what are your thoughts, right? What comes to mind for you as a commission that we can work on this year and into next year?
Well, you know what Alan's and other have said, and what our survey should be informing us a bit is showing is that the situation is not safe, and we don't have safe routes, and we don't have at least we don't have cyclists who feel safe. Mm-hmm. So, to me, although after Beth's conversation, you've been on this commission long enough, we don't get much done, not because we don't have ideas, but because it doesn't go anywhere when it leaves the room for the most part, right? So I guess I would make as a priority persuading our mayor that this actually is really important. And people have mentioned, I think, Beth, that this may become a town that people choose who are working remotely to live in. And those are going to be millennials. And it's all the more important that we have a progressive town, right? So I think I would put on the top, not any of those, but persuading our town council that these are important, that these are really important, because we can do all the work we want to, plan all the parking facilities and the new routes, but if we can't persuade the town council, it's not going to go anywhere, right? You asked for my 2 cents. I'm giving it to you.
Hey, that's what I want. Thank you, Jill.
No, Jill, that was I think that's a really good suggestion, Jill. And I think actually with the commission that your survey is a perfect entry point to go to the council and testify at a council meeting and say, look, we have this survey that says out of this many people who answered, this many percentage of people thought it was not safe here, and these were the things that they want to be able to do, and they, and that I think would give some focus to what you're saying, and also people in politics do respond to voters, so if they see that these people out there are voters and they feel that way,
Yep. Thanks, Alan. Anyone else?
I have one quick question.
I'm gonna let go ahead. Denise chimed in, Kevin. Go ahead.
Do we want high school kids to take the survey?
Anyone that can take a survey, take a survey.
That'd be cool.
If you got hashtags ready, throw them out. I don't know how to do Snapchat, but I'm sure I could learn. I just don't think I have many followers at this point.
No, I just, I had Sam Danowski put the survey up on the Sierra Club message she sent actually to all the people working on Ready for 100 in West Hartford. And but there's also some high school kids, and I'm wondering if we want to, let me see if I can talk to them and figure out a way that we can get that published there. I'm sorry to interrupt the train, but
That's fine. It's a good question. And glad to get more. Yeah, any way you can get more people involved in the survey is going to help. You know, and it means a lot coming from residents and people who use the town versus, you know, what we try and capture as a commission, but there's obviously only so much we can do, and it's great to get everyone's participation. And open it up, Denise, I know I heard you chime in. Just want to make sure, so safe environment, anything you want to add? Okay. So it's 8:40. Thanks everyone for hanging in. I talked a little about pedestrian bicycle safety enforcement. You know, the commission, so Sandy, it's hard for, I think Scott, you're on the call, but you know, is that something we want to take back as a group to look at the town council and come up with a way for them to basically stand behind that they're going to enforce pedestrian and bicycle safety? I think we can do kind of in that last conversation is get that survey completed for March 2021, maybe prepare something for the April 2021 meeting as a draft and go from there. How does everyone think about that? The silence approval?
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
Yes.
Thanks. All right, great. So no open items at the moment. So we'll jump to, so Alyssa Norwood, huge advocate for bike education, also launched sustainable, or helped co-create sustainable CT. I don't think she's on the call, but they asked for someone in the commission if they'd be interested in joining the sustainable CT. And just to give a highlight of what this is, it's a sustainability advisory group. Will review and make recommendations on actions for the purpose of sustainability related initiatives, programs, and policies. And they jump into the status of the West Hartford so far as a bicycle friendly neighborhood as well. And they're looking also at Sustainable Connecticut Bronze Certification 2018, and they're looking to recertify 2021 for the silver level Sustainable CT. So if you have interest, if you're a commission member, they are looking for someone on our commission to join this group. It's a short-term group from my understanding, 10 to 12 month period, meet monthly. If you're not a member of the commission and you're interested, don't hold back. Please reach out to the town clerk, Essie Lebrat, at westhartford.gov. Or if you have questions, you can reach out to the town manager at westhartford.com. So a lot moving forward in the town. It's good to see great discussion, and we want to make great discussion become great action. Bike West Hartford, we have Ethan Frankel and Scott Franklin on the call. If you guys are still around, I'll turn over to you.
Ethan, you want to talk about the North Main Street Marilyn Thibodeau tribute?
Yeah, so real quick, we've had 2 meetings, and it's just moving forward. The landscape planner for ASD came up with 3 possible plans for this memorial, and it's really pretty moving because it's way more than I had imagined. I had imagined, you know, a bench with a plaque, and they've created 3 possibilities for just a really beautiful seating area with pavers, a bench, a plaque, plantings, something that you could really be proud of. I was a little scared by it because I was thinking, well, where are we going to get what has to be $15,000 or $20,000 to do this? And maybe that, and we don't know yet what that would cost, but we're having another meeting shortly, and we'll try to get an idea as to what we're looking at. But it's going to be a little more than I expected it would be, and where the money's going to come from, I don't know, but we'll certainly be looking for help to figure that out. And it's exciting, but if it happens, it's going to be right down by ASD, by the entryway to ASD, and it's going to be something to be proud of, and to something that Mary Ellen really deserves for the work that she did and the way that she, just knew how to get things done, and she knew how to motivate people to do things. So it's exciting. Yeah.
And the American School for the Deaf is donating the money for the landscape architect. And I'm sure they'll probably put some of their own money in for the construction as well. But we know there's going to be a bench, a park bench type of thing. We know there's going to be pavers and probably a couple of bollards as well to protect that area from the traffic on Main Street.
And a bike rack?
Possibly. There's no reason why we couldn't.
Wow, that's incredible.
Also, Wheels on Wednesday, we're going to start up probably in April, where we have organized rides starting from Town Hall in the evenings, and hopefully take it into the summertime as well. Ethan, anything else? Anything on Center Streets?
No, we're going to be looking at Center Streets and making a decision. I think we should be able to do it this year, the way things are moving, and we're going to be optimistic and hope that we can do that, and the work's going to have to start. And I think that's it. We have a lot to do, and right now we need to get our engines revved up.
Ethan, on that, what is it? End of August that Center Streets usually happens?
Yeah, last Sunday in August.
Okay. And then for commission awareness, so we have, we'll have to ask Bike West Hartford if we can have some presence during Center Streets, but it would be a great opportunity because if you haven't been to Center Streets, it's one of the most incredible events in town. If not,
yeah, we would definitely have a booth there for the commission. No question about it.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Ethan. So end of August, commission members, mark your calendars. Don't go anywhere. Get your pens and blue ink ready. All right. I don't think Dan Firestone's here to talk about Cycle.age. And Bike West Hartford, anything else you guys want to discuss? Or if not, we can close out the meeting.
We're good.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, 8:47 p.m., March 8th. We'll see everyone April 12th is the next meeting at 7 p.m. Same room, same time, same lighting. Actually, a little more sunlight, hopefully in the background for everyone. Thank you all for the great meeting. Thank you, Beth, for joining. Thank you, residents who joined, and thank you, commission and town.
Thanks for your hard work, bud.
All right. Good night, everyone.